Yep, I'm here.
So it is 6:30, so we'll call this regular meeting of the Sturgis Common Council to order, July 5th, 2023. It's all from memory, but we talked about it amongst staff a little bit. We think this is the first Wednesday regular meeting ever, and possibly ever a meeting, in fact, for the City Council as a whole. First item is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? Got a first by Becca.
Second.
Second by Dean. Any discussion on the agenda? None being heard. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Opposed to no. We've got an agenda. Please stand, remove cover, and join us for Pledge of Allegiance. Item 4 is informational reports. First off, there is a mixer here by the chamber at City Hall on July 13th. That is a week from tomorrow from 5 to 7. And 4.2 is our quarterly update from Amanda and SEDC. So turn it over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Amanda Anglin, Executive Director of the Sturgis Economic Development Corporation. As you may recall, this is SEDC's 50th year as an organization in the Sturgis community. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time and share with you some of the accomplishments that we've worked on together and that we've done in the community. I won't go over everything because I provided you with quite an extensive packet, but I will highlight a few things. So originally SEDC was incorporated in 1973, and at that time we were called the Sturgis Industrial Expansion Corporation. And our organization was formed by a group of businessmen for the sole purpose of creating the Sturgis Industrial Park. And they worked on creating the industrial park for a number of years. And the first part of the park, so their initial goal was to secure federal funding from the Economic Development Administration. And they had secured about 10 acres is the first part of the park. So on the south side of the Whitewood Service Road, if you take a left into the park, on the east side where Iverson Construction all the way down to what is now Jacobs Auto was the original piece of the park. And so with partnerships between the city and the Department of Transportation, SIEC obtained funding to develop all of the infrastructure to get the park started. In the 80s, the second acreage was purchased, and that's on the north side of the Whitewood Service Road. And you can see in the picture there it goes from UPS all the way down to Bros Engineering. And then in the early 90s is when we purchased the remaining 25 acres that's on the south side of the Whitewood Service Road and the main portion of the industrial park as it sits today. So like I said, it was all done in partnership with the city and the DOT to develop all of the infrastructure that's currently there today, curb, gutter, the streets, water, sewer, things like that. And with that, of course, developing all of that infrastructure, we were able to relocate businesses from outside of the state into the industrial park. On the next page, you can see a current map of what the park looks like today with the businesses that are there. And there's a list of businesses that have been in the park in the past. I won't go over that, but currently we do have about 25 businesses employing more than 250 people. And we do have a large number of large businesses in the park, including C4 Fabrication, Park West Arms, which is formerly Remington and Dakota Arms, Rasmussen Mechanical, Land Sport, those are our large employers out there, and then numerous other businesses as well. And we are currently at capacity. There are no available buildings, and we do have a little bit of land left to sell, only about 8 acres. So in about 2007, the board of directors decided that they needed to shift their focus. And at that point in time is when they decided to change our name to Sturgis Economic Development Corporation, and then update our mission to include housing, and steer a little bit, not totally go away from industrial and real estate development, but to include all other aspects of economic development. SEDC was a big part of the Future Sturgis initiative, for those of you who probably remember that, being around during that time. And we continue to be involved in the Downtown Sturgis Foundation to help foster economic growth in our downtown business district. In 2012, we focused on retail development and residential initiatives for workforce, housing, and seniors. So Aspen Grove was one of the projects that we helped with, the 33-bed assisted living facility that employed 24 people, and they are still at capacity today. And then also we helped with the Sierra Vista apartment buildings, along with the Dolan Creek Estates development and the Canyon View Estates, both starting construction in 2016. With that, all the influx of housing and business growth, there was a need for additional daycare services. So we helped with the, at the time it was called Discovery Kids University. We helped bring that facility to the community, and that is still running today and at capacity and looking to expand as we continue to grow our housing and our need for daycare. In 2013, Sturgis was awarded the Economic Development Community of the Year. I see some familiar faces in that picture. Another one of our projects in 2013, we acquired the Exit 32 lot, as we all refer to it, 1.3 acres right off of the exit there, and I never had the pleasure of seeing that building, but I did find some pictures of what it looked like, and we did clean up that property and have sold a portion of it, and we still have a portion of it left to develop. I will note that there were some restrictions put on that property at the time of the sale, and we have been able to remove those restrictions. So that lot is now free and clear for any type of commercial development. Domino's was also one of our projects in 2014. We acquired that building, tore it down, and then rebuilt it into what is now Domino's, a successful business downtown. And then also 2015, there were quite a few new businesses that came to Sturgis. Scott Peterson Motors, Indian Motorcycle, High Qual, Sioux Steel, Land Sport, Jake's Collision, J&P Cycles, and Arby's. We have a discretionary formula in Meade County that helped a lot of those businesses decide to come to our area. In 2017, the City of Sturgis was awarded the Excellence in Economic Development Award for our efforts through the Storm Atlas season. And then following that is when we started to develop our incubator. We've done some renovations over the last couple of years, and that building is fully leased, and our tenants are about halfway through their tenure in that building. So in about 2 to 3 years, they will be hopefully relocating to larger spaces where they can continue to grow their business, and then we will hopefully be able to refill that with some new startup businesses. In addition, we do own a 9,600 square foot building in the industrial park that was built in 2017, and that's been fully leased since it was constructed and continues to be. And then in summary, over about the last 5 years, from 2018 to 2022, we've seen 75 new businesses created and 174 new jobs. That graphic doesn't include all 75 of those businesses, but quite a few there. In 2019, we sold a portion of our Exit 32 lot to Scooptown Car Wash. And then we're all aware of the Dolan Creek Senior Housing Project, which is now fully open and tenants are moving in as of the beginning of June. So I think we can cross that project off our list. And I know the assisted living portion of it is pretty full. I think there might be one room left, but there's still a lot of opportunity for the independent living units on the second and third floor. Housing continues to grow in Sturgis from 2018 to 2022. We've seen 193 new single-family home permits and 64 multifamily permits issued. 50 of those would be the Dolan Creek Senior Living Project. Meade County has also seen tremendous growth in housing as well. So from 2019 to 2020, operated areas of Meade County, not including any of the cities, we've had 568 new single-family home permits just in that short amount of time. Of course, last year we did a big project together with purchasing the bowling alley and keeping that business open and running year-round. And then the next project we have on our list is our 4-unit building in the industrial park. Construction is planned to start this summer, and that'll be similar to an incubator type building, but not necessarily set up like an incubator. So an existing business could locate there. We just this month approved the bids for those to move forward with construction. So in addition to that, in June, we sold a 2-acre parcel of land in the park to a company called Murphy Company. And they are an insulation and construction services company that's currently located in North Sioux City, and they are expanding to have a second location in Sturgis. They will build a 21,000 square foot building and employ more than 60 people. So we're happy to welcome them to the park. They are also going to lease out a portion of their building, which will help fill some of the need that I'm seeing with smaller units. So what we're building plus what they're going to have available, I think will be really good for the park and our community to get people in spaces. I have a number of inquiries about people looking for those types of units, and we just don't have any available right now. So hopefully come the spring, we will be able to fill some of those spaces and get some more businesses in the park. In addition, I just wanted to touch that part of our mission is to service Meade County because we are the only full-time economic development organization in our county. And so I've been doing some work with the Piedmont Valley Chamber of Commerce as well as the City of Somerset just to help them figure out ways to expand the capacity of their organizations and help them have some community conversations that in Somerset is going to help guide their city council in some of their decision making. Other than that, there's a lot more, but I won't take up too much more of your time. So thank you for your support of economic development and all of the projects and things that we partner on currently, in the past, and in the future. So, any questions?
Thanks,
you.
Amanda. Item 5 is announcements and praise. I'd like to take a moment and pray if you'd like to join me. Heavenly Father, we appreciate all the blessings that we have day in and day out in our community and in our country. May we keep the perspective of the grace and the love that you give us and try to live our lives as much as possible in that way. We pray all these things in your name. Amen. I've got some add-ons here that are not on the agenda. First off is, I guess let's talk meetings. July is a 3-meeting council month, so we got tonight, we've got the 17th, and then we got the 31st because we can't meet during the rally. So August will have the 1 meeting. Fireworks, we squeezed it in amongst the clouds and the rain and the lightning, and a great event that went on. Heard many comments over the week, over the holiday that, from certain perspectives, Sturgis is a pretty amazing sight with all the fireworks going off and all the participation with everybody between the city putting on the show and then with just the local neighborhood shows that are just outstanding. So part of that is with that, we want to reiterate the fact to follow the rules and be observant of the curfew on both nights, because people do work and it does make it difficult when it goes all night. And then the main thing that's the most difficult thing that we tackle is the cleanup afterwards. It's always fun to shoot things off, but to clean things up is always a difficult step. And with that being said, that's not only the rules of participating in our celebration of independence, but it creates, it can be quite a mess. And with that being said, we've had a local gentleman here, Jimmy Schneider, that we want to bring praise to for what he did. He spent time down on Lozelle Street and on the west side of town here, cleaning up other people's fireworks and taking the time. So, Jimmy, I want you to come up here. We actually got a certificate for you. We've got a gift card from Public Works, and we've also got a shirt for you. So, I'll meet you up front. He'll come to you. It's a certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Jimmy Snyder in recognition of his willingness to pick up fireworks trash in his neighborhood. So, a great example from a young man. So, excellent.
Maybe I'd like to move over to my neighborhood.
Right? He's setting the example. Awesome stuff, though. Anything to add from council for announcements and praise at all? Item 6, the city manager's report by the transition team. What we have is a lot of payroll stuff, and we have Lisa on vacation, so Faye's taking it tonight. So I'll turn it over to you, ma'am.
Good evening. So we just have some payroll here. We have David Goebel. He's seasonal at the liquor store. We have a couple rally temporaries, Terry Maxwell and Ernestine Roy Cervantes. Then the police department wages for the special officers, food service, day-night administrative assistants, and patrol assistants. See schedule based on longevity, working in the rally, new hires. And then we have a correction on 6.4, and that is on Donnie Brooke Finn. He was an EMT driver, and then Matthew Simmons.
Any questions for Faye from council on payroll? Need it for the minutes. That's the main thing.
Yes.
Item 7 is consent calendar. We have approval of the consent calendar along with our minutes from the June 19th meeting, and then setting several public hearings. Does council wish to remove any of those items and discuss any of those individually? How about anybody in the public on the consent calendar? Anybody willing to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Got a first by Mike,
Second.
got a second by Aaron, and a third by Kevin. Ty, 2.5. Any last discussion on the consent? We do have minutes, so we'll go ahead and roll call it. Aaron, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Becca? Yes. Yes. Angela?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Preston. I just remembered Preston's on there. Sorry, Preston.
That's all right. Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Consent calendar is approved unanimously. Item 8 is claims. Questions, comments, concerns? Public or council?
There was a claim for some mowing at one of the businesses here that was $500. I was wondering how bad that was to clean up in front of a.
That's a Dave Smith question. He's making his way.
I don't remember what page it was on.
I'm very sorry that I did not bring a picture with, but that is, I'll throw it out, it's Dollar General, and it's a constant problem. So we constantly have to mow it. So there was a lot of cleanup that needed to be done, tall weeds, grass, so it was bad. We had several complaints, and of course, it costs money to have it done because they got to stick us in between their other mows.
Well, that's what I was gonna have clarity on, Dave, is the fact they said we had to mow it. The city contracts with somebody to get it done and then sends a bill to the property owner.
That is correct, yeah. There's citations that have been issued along with the bill, and we'll see what happens next time. But I'll show you some pictures sometime.
Thank you.
So we pay it up front and then we'll see that come back in as a reimbursement?
The city pays the contractor, hires a contractor, pays the contractor to mow it. Then the property owner is billed, and then they will pay us back as well as the citation and the fees that we sent on it. If they do not pay it, it gets set to their property by special assessment in October to the county, and hopefully collected on their tax bill. The biggest issue with this is that the property owner is not the same as the business owner. They're different.
Thanks, Dave. Any other discussion?
Do we ever see that flow back in? I mean, like when we watch it go out and the claim, do we ever see that come back in? Where does that come back in?
Yeah, that'd just be through go ahead, Fade, be through the reporting on the general fund. and-
Correct. It would be something that's in my accounting system, and it would go in as a deposit. If it came in as a check or whatever, it'd be just a deposit, so.
But even more pointed, and tell me if I'm wrong, Faye, but the quarterly reports that we give, it would be the revenue side on the planning and permitting where you dial it down to specifically where you'd see those return.
Right, in the general
Yep,
fund.
yep.
And the general fund is the, yeah.
Big one,
Right.
so,
It's not simple. Out back in.
right, yep.
I have a couple of questions.
Come on up to the microphone. I know it.
These are just quick. One is on page 3 or 69. Okay, and it has to do with A&A investments. What does A&A investments do for us?
You want me to answer, Faye? That is stuff that Daniel finished up after he was no longer employed by the city. It's been a pretty constant situation transitionally, even with department heads, where there's basically a consulting time or a time where time's used, but that's where that specifically is too.
So that it's not ongoing, it's just
Not ongoing, no.
happening here?
Yeah. Specifically done is the way, I mean, as far as what we're needed with TIF documents and things like that were in transition, but pretty much no other need.
Okay. And then on the page before that, page 2, there's Diligent Corporation for $11,600, and I can't read the rest of the numbers, but
So iCompass is what that's for, I believe, right? iCompass is our new software that we use for the documents and the agendas and the city archiving and things like that when you log on to the city council website with the agendas.
okay, so that's an annual fee, not monthly. Right, okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve.
Got a first by Dean,
Second.
second by Angela. Any last discussion? We got, we're paying bills, so a roll call, but Preston, I'm gonna do you last. Mike,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
I'm yes. Becca,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
and Preston.
Yes.
Bills are paid. Item 9 is reports. This is Resolution 2023-36. This is an on-sale alcoholic beverage for use for municipal-owned facilities. Mr. Marshall has prepared the report here, and I will turn it over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Effective just July 1, the state legislature granted municipalities greater power to issue on-sale liquor licenses to municipally owned venues. Those licenses must be issued by resolution without an election, but they are subject to referendum, meaning that if the citizens don't approve of the idea of issuing a license to the city, they can take a vote on it. The license can be used at any municipally owned entertainment venue, event center, arena, performance hall, locations of that sort. It essentially allows the city to have events without the need for a special events license, and the event can be staffed by contract employees or by city employees. The license must be used to support the primary purpose of the municipally owned facility during the hours that the municipally owned facility is generally open to the public. The purpose of that is to prevent cities from opening their own bar and grill using a municipally owned license of this variety. There is no fee for the license. The license is not transferable, so the city can't issue itself a license and then sell that license to a third party for big bucks, if you will. I note that the council may find it advantageous to have these licenses available at such locations as Rally Point, the community center, the city armory, and the city hall. There is no need for a council to grant the city licenses. It's simply an opportunity to take advantage of a situation created by the legislature recently. So that would conclude my report, and I would be happy to field any questions that members of the council may have.
This may be a tricky one for you to answer, but I'm still going to ask it. I mean, when you said it was set up that way so cities can't issue their own license to create a bar or a service environment where they're in the retail world, I think there's other opportunities where the cities do use them, and I think more specifically it's worth having the discussion of what A is allowed and B what our visions are as a council, and maybe even looking at adding verbiage to the resolution if so desired, but specifically to SELs. I mean, that's truly where we're going to gain efficiencies from the city and not have to move things. But our community is an event community that's structured in a way that the bars in the retail world take care of a lot of things where the city are not equipped or willing to want to staff, stock, keep track of, and execute something that brings, a liquor license or a malt beverage license to an event. So could you speak to that, Mr. Marshall? I know as far as council's intent, we'll have to discuss that amongst ourselves, but with the way the resolution's written, there's a lot of freedom given by the state of South Dakota, and I'd like you to just talk about that.
Well, that freedom is both an advantage and disadvantage of the municipally owned license. By having this available, the city need not use it. The city could continue to employ special event licenses in support of local businesses, or for events such as the sponsor night during Rally. The city wouldn't have to issue a special event license and could simply hold that venue here at City Hall without any more paperwork, if you will. It's something that could be brought about quickly without having to publish a request for a SEL and have it go through council. There are circumstances where the city may be called upon to act quickly for an event. I can't give you an example of that, but it is simply, I would call it another tool in the city's kit to hold events and not compete with its local bar and restaurant owners.
questions or discussion from council at this point?
So Mark, the decisions on the use of said license goes away from council as an SEL to city staff only?
I think that council always retains the authority to control the use of the license. I can speak only for my own situation. I would not, in my current role as a member of the interim management committee, authorize the use of any city-owned municipal liquor license without express approval from the council. But that approval need not take the form of a resolution and be published.
With setting the public hearing and putting
Setting
it
a
in the
public
paper
hearing.
and.
It seems like the writings of this law was in line with larger event facilities and the Denny Sanford facility, especially as it locks in with your report where it says that then it allows the city to hire a contractor to do that sort of stuff. What problem in the city of Sturgis, since we don't have a single large event facility, are we trying to solve with this? I mean, I understand it's a new law and we want to put it into our toolbox, but it doesn't seem like we need to overfill our toolbox right off unless we know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it.
It's simply something for council's consideration.
Well, it doesn't seem like we've really have a problem now. So is there any action required? You know, I kind of feel the same way as Kevin in terms of, I'm just not sure really what advantages that gives us. We obviously, I think it's important for us to keep those decisions to do those on municipality-owned property with the council. And typically, when it comes down to events, we got our headlights out a little bit to be able to see that and to put that on the agenda appropriately. I'd hate to see us also getting, at some point, in competition or take away business from small businesses here in town. So it doesn't, it looks like it could be, you know, more from a paperwork perspective and timing, but it doesn't seem like there's a problem that we have right now, an issue where we need to, you know, take this, have a year resolution for these events is to have this tool in our toolbox, which we really probably don't need to use.
Patty, you're going to say something there.
I guess where I see it coming in handy is, as you said, the vendors, you know, deal we do, the VIP, yeah, the sponsorship. Also the library, a lot of times wanting to, they've, you know, been up serving wine and stuff like that. So that's where it would save us, is just to be able to, you would still know about it, it would still be on the agenda. It's just that it would be, we wouldn't have to
Wouldn't take the publication
Right,
step and
right.
the extra paperwork, but
Right.
I think
I don't think we want to be in the business of even serving very much, you know what I mean? Only small groups, that type of thing. We're not trying to get into the, I know Lisa just talking about it, there's, you know, there's some liability here. So, but right now we do serve like during those vendor and sponsorship.
I do believe that since the city is going to own it, and the city's going to manage it, the city's bartenders at any special event will still have to be TAMS certified. Bartenders are bartenders to any license.
and I think that has to do with sales or not is the differentiation there. Does that make sense? If it's a situation where there's no money transaction, it's not as strict on the TAM, but
It lends itself to that, but it also lends itself to underage drinking.
Any other discussion from council or questions at this point? And I guess to summarize, I think the truth, what the resolution would accomplish for sure is some efficiencies both in the posting, keeping track of, and paperwork per event. But I would agree with statements made that there isn't really a problem that is being fixed. It's an opportunity brought forward by the state. So input from bar owners. You guys really want to be here? Aren't you supposed to be using your SEL over here and working?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I don't know a lot of you guys because I don't have to come speak before you too much, but I'm Brian Carter. Do own the Knuckle Saloon, the Knuckle Brewing Company, and the Sturgis Brewing Company. I guess first, you know, I feel like we just got slapped by this. You know, we've had several meetings in the past about different things, about communications. And when you're talking with liquor licenses, I would think that we could have something where we have meetings to know what you guys are up to. We don't know what you're up to. We kind of read it, but we don't have that many in town, you know. And for example, the Knuckle Saloon paid more for its liquor license than anybody in the state of South Dakota has ever paid, okay? So when I hear liquor licenses, my first word is no, you know. Am I against something like this? Maybe not. I mean, but I would think this needs to be tabled, and let's not be talking about it a month before the motorcycle rally. You know, there are several events that are small that we do go ahead and pay the $100 for, that when we figure out everything that we do, we don't make no money on it, but we're doing you know, helping out the organization, whoever's doing that. Wedding receptions, yeah, absolutely. There are some things, you know, we've done a lot of parties for the city, you know, and yeah, we charge you because we have to, you know, I mean, we got to make money too. Just to come up and give a license to the city to do this until there's some more strict guidelines put on this, I'm totally against it because it's a wide open deal here, and I don't want to give you an inch and you take a mile, you know. And I know that's not really, you know, you guys TAM certified, yeah, wrong. First of all, over serving, you got to kind of go through this, right? Yeah, underage. There's just things to look for, and what you can say to people as far as when they do have too much to drink. In your case, might not be an issue, but it could be, maybe, you know, I don't know. I just think it's, yeah, it was just, this was just brought up to me this morning at about 10 o'clock, and I was just shocked, shocked that the city would try to railroad this right through on this short of notice without any notice to, I didn't get nothing in the mail or emails or nothing, you know, about this. I really don't care if the state of South Dakota just approved this July 1st. I think, once again, we can discuss it and work on it, but let's not make a decision tonight. I think there is a lot to this. There is a lot of your small events. We've a lot of your sponsorship events. We've taken the alcohol from our inventory, went down, set them up, have lots and lots of money involved in setting up, and you guys don't even know what you're getting into, first of all. And then what do you do with all your open bottles? How do you do that? You just take them from the liquor store? What, I mean, you store them here? What, I mean, what do you do? I just think there needs to be...
Brian, I appreciate what you're saying. I don't want to interrupt. I want you to keep going, but
right.
You took it to the end where we planned on doing events that are outside of our realm, which 100% there's not those side rails put on this resolution, but zero intent from this council or from staff on that's, you know, those questions that you asked have never even been discussed on. Why? Because we're not going that far with it. Mm-hmm. But your concern is valid and clear for sure. So.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think it's a good recommendation, though, to maybe visit with our stakeholders, and then if there are those specific where it makes sense for us to do it, a small type of thing, we can build those kind of guidelines, those kind of criteria right into the resolution. And it's been consultation with our business owners where it makes sense for us to have that tool in our toolbox. So again, maybe take a little bit of time, visit with them, and then maybe come out with a little more detailed resolution that's kind of more, you know, points to the exact issue thing that we want to do, where it's not necessarily in competition or something that they even be interested in doing.
Right. Yeah, and I agree for sure. I think that our busy season for everybody has begun, and I think that any kind of licenses that need to be used currently and in the near future with the events of the summer have already been handled. So there is no pressing situation that's currently there.
Mr. Marshall? I know he had said that it doesn't matter to him when the legislator approved this or pushed this through, but for my own curiosity, when did that happen? When would this have been made available to communities, cities?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
It was effective July 1st.
Oh, it was.
Would have been passed during the legislative session.
Was the passage? Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a possibility of losing this option in the future? Is it like if we don't exercise this, we lose it?
I see no chance that it will be lost in the immediate future. The only risk of losing it would be if the legislature decided to change the statute.
And then it wouldn't matter whether he had it active or not.
That's correct.
Other discussion from the.
I'd just like to quickly say that I do hear what you're saying, and it makes sense. And I hope that, I guess the citizens and myself included for being on the council and being part of conversations is that it was, the intent is no more than the one-offs that are had. It's the functions at the library and so on and so forth. It's not the intent to undercut anybody else. Anyway.
Any additional input, public or council?
Could you explain where they talked about the contract with them, and how would that process work?
I think that was written by the state lawmakers with the fact that those big event operations, those aren't direct city employees. Those are, owned by the city. Like the city owns the monument, but they staff it out through a contract. I don't think there would be any sensible reason to contract out our existing liquor license or malt beverage license to an SEL to say the Knuckle or somebody to have them do it. If we're going to do that, let's just go through the existing and regular process that we're all used to, bring it to the council with the public hearing. There is the posting and things like that, but there would be efficiency gained, but it's not a huge mountain for a problem. It brings a lot more attention to the process. But I believe, Marshall probably could answer it too, but I believe that the intent of that language is for cities that actually have a division that is a service division, which we have, as well, we all wear multiple hats. So that's not our intent to either A, start staffing with in-house, or B, creating a new situation of management.
Another example of where this use is contemplated is for places like a city-owned golf course. I've seen it licensed in Rapid City at their municipal golf courses.
Any other discussion? Anyone willing to make a motion of any sort?
Make a motion to table it until we can have more consultation and kind of determine what the specifics need to go into that resolution.
We got a first by Aaron to table resolution. We got a second by Mike. Any last discussion, public or council? We've done all roll calls tonight, so let's just do it again. I'll start with myself. I'm yes to table. Becca? Yes. Dean?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Preston via phone?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
No action taken other than that we're going to discuss it somewhere down the road. So we're thinking maybe like August 3rd. Appreciate you. You're not on the camera, Brian. That brings us to item 10, other matters that come before the council. Opportunity to bring forward non-agenda items for tonight's meeting for public information. Anything from council tonight to add?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to talk about Dolan Creek Road project a little bit.
Go ahead, Kevin.
We talked about this extensively in the past, back in January of this year. City Manager Ainsley indicated by email that the contractor was going to keep Dolan Creek Road open one direction during the entire project, which to me is very important because East Ida being so narrow could bottleneck and end up with a fire and life safety issue in a very large area of our community. The road has been open like a day here and there, but over the last month generally has not been open. We're coming into some times when traffic is increasing. The Big Rig RV Park is gearing up, and so the monster RVs and whatnot are trying to traverse these 15-foot wide roads that are out there. It's eroded the sides of the asphalt to the point where it's not a nice taper off. It's a square edge now. And I guess what I'm wondering is why why the contractor's not following through with what they said they were going to do, and what our teeth are for having this one lane open for reduction of the traffic on these heavily impacted areas and to promote better safety response.
Well, the pointed answer to that question is I'm not equipped to answer, I guess, but
Right.
I hear it from a lot of people up there myself on the situation at hand. So I think there's been attention that's being brought to it, and it certainly needs to be addressed. They're also moving along pretty quick, so we've dealt with it for a while, I guess, now that there's actually some forward progress up there. Infrastructure, I know, talks about some of those things, but Rick, I don't want to put you on the spot, but please come up.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So I did just reach out to Mr. Gustafson again 15 minutes ago, and he assures me, he sent me an email. He was down here. I'll read it to you if you don't mind. It says, "Hello, Rick. I received your email and we are not closing the road. It's one of the neighbors that is closing the road, and I have been adamant to leave it open. We had Jason Hansen, who is the project engineer, over there this morning showing him how we had it open. Kevin, who is their superintendent, and the rest of the team left the job site tonight, and it was open. And one of the neighbors must be putting back up the candlesticks. Please explain this to the city council members." So, I mean, I agree with Kevin. Over the last several weeks, I mean, this is almost a daily conversation I've had with them, and they're adamant that they're doing it. I did just ask him again tonight. I said, well, remove the candlesticks then. If they're dragging them back out there and closing the road, let's remove the candlesticks so that there's no candlesticks for them to put there. And see if that can resolve the situation. But I have been in contact with them, like I said, daily, sometimes 2-3 times a day. And then the next time it's closed. I mean, I don't know what the situation, I mean, I don't know what more we can do on our end, but certainly open to any suggestions.
I would say that just an observation to back up what Kevin's saying. In the last month, that cones or no cones, you would have fell off an asphalt ledge about this high, cones or no cones, all the way across there. So it hasn't been open like they're stating. And you probably know that as well as anybody from other things you've heard from people. But I just wanted to make sure that that was aware that it has not been more so than it has been.
I'm not sure what the state of it is right now, if it's gotten to the point where it can safely be traversed, having an open lane. But I'm assuming that a local landowner doesn't have the legal authority to go out there and block that road.
They should not, no.
And so I'm not sure what they have done to communicate with the landowners out there to keep that open, if they're to the point right now where they can do it safely. And if they're still doing it, then I would think there'd probably be maybe a legal recourse here to be able to, whoever doing that, cease and desist. Because ultimately, as we get into the rally and we're starting having the larger vehicles coming up through there, I've been up there a few times and, going on those side roads there, a lot of tough corners, a lot of residential, at this point with the increase with the bigger trucks coming through there, the big car Vs, I would think it would be imperative to be able to get at least one lane open and keep it open.
The Dolan Creek Road should be completed prior to the rally. The curb and gutter, the asphalt, the entire road should be complete before the rally. I know that doesn't, and.
Was that timeline before all the rain that we've been having?
That was, it's continually updated, and the last update I've got,
It's still
their
having it
schedule
done.
shows that road will be open, yes.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what you're saying a little bit, I understand the one landowner putting the things in his yard so people don't go through his yard, because it would be very frustrating to be a landowner and have people driving through your yard.
This is the actual road. They're
Correct.
right across the road. So I'll continue to work with the contractor and
I don't know if there's a solution within this, but just my perception as I go up there. Even if it is open, when you see the barricades with the road closed, if you don't understand it's okay to drive, your perception is I got to go around. So part of it's just the messaging. I think that even if it is open, somebody might not know it. But I look forward to when it's a finished product for sure.
you and me both.
You say that.
Well, they have those detour signs up. They probably keep them up, so.
The problem is the roads in Murray Addition aren't built to a standard that can handle that kind of traffic. And I went up and observed what Kevin was talking about as well, and they're driving, when you meet head on, you're having to pull over to the side, and it's creating some problems. I did speak with Bros Engineering about that and said there's definitely gonna have to be some reclamation made, and they agreed, and we'll get there. Construction is never very convenient for anybody, but unfortunately it is necessary, and hopefully we can get through this and persevere and get the project done and get everything back to a better state, I guess. And
Well, you're right about the inconvenience, and if you're going down the interstate or any roads, you're dealing with inconvenience at this time of year all the time. But if we have somebody blocking the road when it's not supposed to be blocked, that's a problem.
sure,
That should be solved.
duly noted.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Anything else from council for other matters? Preston, anything to add?
No, sir.
All right. How about anything from the public tonight? Come on up again, Bonnie.
Well, I learned just a little bit ago, and
Hold that thing down. There we go.
mics are not my friend. I learned just a little bit ago that the Aqua Park issue would not be on the agenda. I mean, I pulled up the agenda tonight and saw that it wasn't on there and asked about it. And apparently, the public knows that, but how would I have known that? Because I just think we need to say that this isn't getting buried, it just isn't ready, as I was told. So I think that,
we've talked about that more to have as we go, because it is such a big deal and a hot topic for discussion, is to include maybe within the agendas informational reports every couple meetings or something. But where we're at right now is currently working with the developer on staying within our budget, and they're going to bring a plan back to the council and take the next step as we see fit. But still, the plans are happening. It's just trying to stay within the basically $5.5 million.
right, well, and I thought this was the expectation that we were going to talk about it tonight, and then I saw it wasn't on the agenda, so I realized, well, it's not on the agenda, but I just think that needs to be said out loud, that it's still in progress, it's just not ready to talk about yet.
We're working on it for sure.
And
What
I
else
will-
do you have? Yep.
Additionally, I want to, he's not here, but I want to add my appreciation to the young man who cleaned up his neighborhood, because after fireworks on the 3rd, I had moms across the street sweeping the street, and I said, gee, thanks, it's nice to have you clean up. I usually do it, but I can't. And after the 4th, it's trashed.
Right.
And so hopefully they will get out there. I made a I made a call to the apartment building, but we just need to do that. We need to take
Part of the process.
responsibility for our stuff. We can't expect the city to run the street sweeper around and clean up after us. And so, and a note of appreciation is that as I've been using the library more lately, I have brought somebody new to town to the library to make a lot of copies of something that she didn't know where to go to do. I have been in and out of the library, not able to do everything for myself, and I just want to say how very helpful the library staff is. They've been helpful to me. They could not have been kinder and more helpful to her with her big copy project. And the other thing I noticed is that there are several people who are doing job searches and using the library area to do that. You know, when you're doing that kind of thing, you need reliable internet, you need a table to spread out on, you need to be able to make a copy of what you're looking at. And they have been just so very helpful with that for several people that I know. And I just want to make that public.
Thanks, Bonnie.
What a good job the library's doing for us.
Thank you. Anything else for other matters? None. Go ahead, Becca.
Well, I just wanted to say that Bonnie, bringing up the library and the computer usage, the trend nationwide is that public computer usage is down, but that is not the case here in our library. Our library, our computers are used. It is a very high percentage of usage, and the Wi-Fi. The city provides Wi-Fi outside, so we have little hotspots that can be checked out, and we also have, if people need to pull up and use Wi-Fi from their car, the city provides that for our citizens. So it's a need that's here in town, and it is being met with the library. So I think it's a great program, like Bonnie said.
Thank you. Anything else? Item 11 is executive session. I do believe there are no anticipated actions, but I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Marshall.
I don't believe there are any anticipated actions, Mr. Mayor.
But we have contracts and personnel with some marketing.
And some legal matters.
One legal, yep. Is there a motion to go in exec?
Mr. Mayor, so moved.
We have first by Dean, second by Becca. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Opposed to no.
Yes.
7:26, we go into exec. We'll start here in about 4 minutes.